Alphabet and Microsoft, the two tech giants, set to report after the bell, with Amazon, Apple, and Meta on deck later in the week. Deirdre Bosa has what to expect for today's Tech Check, and just how important here, Dee, are the mega caps results this week?
Contessa, let me tell you how important with just one number, and that is 54%. The Super Six's aggregate expected year-over-year earnings growth for the fourth quarter. Without them, the remaining 494 companies in the S&P are forecast to post a blended decline of more than 10% in earnings growth. So not only do the biggest tech stocks account for more and more of the overall markets by weight, but they make up virtually all of earnings growth for the S&P 500. To that question you guys asked before the break, is the market being so tech-reliant a recipe for disaster? Well, it certainly could be. Of course, earnings is an expectations game, and guides will be key. Some of them give them, some of them don't. Alphabet doesn't. But these are also some of the sturdiest business models around. And you could argue, and you have argued over the last year, that they're more defensive and GARPy, growth at a reasonable price, than what we think of as high growth and riskier tech. But guys, that Apple note earlier today that moved the stock from Ming-Chi Kuo, which threw some cold water on their China sales, that's a good example of something that comes out that is perhaps unexpected or a new piece of information. And as Apple goes, so does the market. You could say the same of Microsoft, certainly, and certainly these Super Six names taken together.
When we get to earnings this afternoon, how much is AI moving the needle now for earnings alone? How much are investors looking to these reports to say, how are you making money off of AI?
Yes, that is sort of like the multi-billion, trillion-dollar question. How are you monetizing AI? Last year, you could get away with just mentioning it a bunch of times on your earnings call, and that would be good enough. But investors, they want actual answers. For Microsoft, for example, they want to know how they're monetizing Copilot. We have very little information from Google so far, even though it's it's supposed to be in the number 1 or 2 position. And it's latest version, it's the latest large language model, the top tier of it, Gemini Ultra, that's coming out. So we're going to be listening for that. But you know what, Contessa, I would actually argue that it's still pretty vague, and I don't think we're going to get the hard numbers and the hard answers that Wall Street wants. So I think it's going to come down to cloud, and that's what it was last quarter. And I think that's what it's going to still be this quarter, because that does incorporate generative AI efforts. That's where it sits in many cases, certainly for Microsoft and Amazon. So that's going to be key. And the street wants to know definitively that growth has sort of bottomed and it's on the up and up again.
Wall Street never gets the number of details that it really wants. So they should be used to it by now. Deirdre, thanks.
Especially not now.
No.